So listing is a two-stage process. What we all do typically, we get an appointment without doing any qualifying. We go and show up, and we might drive 5 minutes or a half an hour or an hour for the listing appointment. And then we'll get there and find out they're not ready to list at all. So the question is, why are you there? So there's two things that I want you to focus on and tell me of these two, by a show of hands, which would you rather be greater at? Lead generation or listing appointments? Listing appointments. Show of hands. What would you rather be great at? Listing appointments or lead generation? Listing appointments, put your hands up. Everybody, lead generation. It's about half. So think about it. If you have 1,000 leads and you suck at listing appointments, are you going to get lots of listings? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You could be the worst agent, and if you are seeing 5 people a day, you're going to get listings, no matter, despite yourself, right? If you're fantastic at a listing appointment, but you have no leads, your dog isn't going to list their house with you, right? So we try and focus so much on being great at this, but we suck at this. Be good at this. This will follow. So have you heard the expression, when the student is ready, the teacher appears? So when your lead generation is great, it will just be by osmosis that you'll become a great listing agent. And what I handed out, which I didn't want to give you guys right away, horse before the cart. So don't look at it yet. Put it away. You promise? Okay, put it away. Put it away. So, so here's the question. The problem that you guys have that I didn't have is I was able to practice my listing appointments. I worked in the 90s. Why was I able to practice being better at listing appointments than you are able to? Why? What's that? Okay. Expireds? How many listing appointments do you think I went on a day in the 90s? I started in 89. The market crashed within 2 months of me getting in real estate. Guys, I totally thought that I caused the market crash in 1990. Literally, within 2 months, I got on the market and it just completely went from like 10 to 14% overnight. And I thought, shit. Anyhow, it's not true. It's not true. I wish I had that much power. How many listing appointments do you think I went on a day? How many? 8? 3. That's a good guess. I was going on 3 listing appointments a day. Say it again. Oh, just let them get towed. You don't learn unless you know. There she goes. Don't worry, we'll wait for you. We're not going to wait for her. All right. No problem, Cam. So 3 listing appointments a day, right? So to have really, really good skill, I'm sure you've been to, hopefully you've been to who hasn't been to my seminar before? Oh, wow. So most people have been to most of them. Amazing. Okay. I hope you can find some seats. Welcome. Okay. So the 4 levels of skill, it's really, really simple. When I started off going to see people, I was what you would call an unconscious incompetent. I didn't even know I didn't know, right? I had no idea that I was screwing up. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know when to say it. I didn't even know I was useless. And the second level is you become a conscious incompetent. When you say, "Hey, I'm screwing up and I kind of know why." You figure that out. Now you know what you're doing wrong. And then the third level is a conscious competent. You do everything well, but you're thinking about every single step. Remember when you first got your driver's license? You grab the seat belt, you check your mirrors, you do everything. Everything that you do is very rote, like it's very scripted. It's you think about it. You're competent, but you're very conscious. And what do you think the fourth level is of skill? The fourth level of skill. No, it's what Wayne Gretzky's famous line was. I didn't go to where the puck was. I skated to where the puck's going to be, right? And that is what you call an unconscious competent. Guys, I say shit on listing presentations and I think to myself, where did that come from? It's so good. I'd stop my clients and I would say, I just have to write that down. Can I say it to you again? It was so good. Like I thought of the I don't know, in the middle of listing presentation, these people were really badgering me on commission. And I said to them out of nowhere, guys, if we were both going to charge zero, who would you go with? I don't know where it came from. If we were both going to charge you absolutely nothing, who would you go with? And they go, well, I guess if you're both going to work for free, I'd go with you. I go, oh, so I realized I was onto something, right? And then I started to say, okay, so what's that worth? And I'd break down the difference of 1.5% to a million reasons why you can't equate 1.5% without having an offer. Get me an offer and I'll tell you where you're doing better, right? You're only improving your chances by going one over the other. So if we're both working for free, you'd go with me. So I think of these things, I write them down, and I don't try not to forget them. So here's the question. Before we talk about listing appointments, and we're going to get very, very into it, how do you go on more listing appointments? Like, do you guys go on one or two listing appointments a day? How many people go on one or two listing appointments a day? Yeah, you go on one or two listing appointments a day?
Recently, yes.
Recently, okay. Not like in the past 3 days, in the course of a year or 2 years.
Past 1 month.
Oh, okay. Where do you get the listing appointments from? How do you generate the leads to get to on the appointments?
Door knocks, flyers.
Amazing. You see? So even when you don't get the listing, do you improve as a listing agent when you're going on your next appointment?
Yeah, but I always
Right.
super being first.
They do. They actually do matter. It's like fake bills don't matter. It's But but if you do your best and you don't get it, I mean, sometimes, I go on listing appointments where they say, Wayne, the other agent, they've dealt with my entire family. They're amazing. They're charging the same as you. They specialize in the area. I'm like, all right, let me find an angle here. How do they dress? Like, I mean, I try and find anything. Like, I try and find any angle that I can differentiate myself. So you see, what's your first name? I forgot.
Cindy.
Cindy. Sorry, Cindy. So Cindy goes on lots of appointments and she has a good lead generation system and she's getting better. So here's the question. How do you go on listing appointments if you're not generating leads? Are there listing appointments out there for you? Yes or no? Are there listing appointments out? You put up your hands. You think there are or not? There are listing appointments. One person in the room put up their hand and said there are listing appointments out there. So what I used to do is I used to find people to go and talk to because I wanted to get their listing, but more importantly, I wanted to use them as um, cadavers, if you will, like for operating on, for learning how to become a better surgeon. So I would go to FISBOs. Who knows what a FISBO is? For sale by owner. Do they exist today? Yes, they exist. You may have to go to frickin' Burlington, but they exist. So, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you say all the great things. It doesn't matter how great a parent you are if you don't have a kid. Does it make sense? Right? So, we're trying so badly to get better at listing appointments and what to say and when to say it, but we're not going on appointments to practice. So, the other thing is, are there expireds now? Do you know how to find expired listings? Do you know the difference between an expired listing and a true expired listing? An expired listing is somebody who may have relisted, but you don't know. They were expired in the past, but now they're active, right? A true expired is somebody who is expired, hasn't relisted yet. So you can go back and you can search expired listings, right? And then see if they relisted, but it should be in your farm, right? If I was smart and I wanted to work at it, I'd go back a year, I'd pull up every expired listing in Thornhill and then cross-reference if they relisted. If they haven't relisted, I'd call them up and say, hey, you relisted with this agent at Right at Home who works in Burlington. When are you planning on moving? Right? And then you get into it with them. Okay. So why are we not going on more listing appointments if that's how we become better listing agents? Isn't it interesting how all the agents that were around in the 90s, they tend to have a much better rate of listing appointment to listing closed ratio? Way better. Why? Experience, right? Like my kid plays basketball. He practices all day. So how do you become a better listing agent if you don't go on listing appointments? So that's the number one thing I want you guys to add to your week every Monday morning. Have, even if they're garbage listing appointments, have listing appointments set up. And by the way, out of these FISBOs and expireds, they're gonna list. It's just a matter of time. And the dialogue you use on an expiry and a FISBO is slightly different than a referral or a prospecting lead, but you can fine tune it. And there's many, many ways of knowing what language to use with expireds, with privates, et cetera, et cetera. But the number one thing that's the same, like when I used to meet FISBOs and expireds, I didn't talk about them wanting to save commission or them listed before. Like all I cared about, do I want to see you? Are you worthy of me seeing you in person? Right? That's qualifying. So now, to me, this is the most important part of it. Who in the room saw years ago me doing the listing and presentation with Alex and Barb? Only one person? The video. Okay. Do you see how much time I spent on the phone before I got to the house? Did it seem like too much? What did you guys think while you're watching it? I do that. So, number one, qualifying. So, please be honest from a show of hands. When you go and see people at 7:30 or whenever, when you get there after talking to them, do you ever think to yourself, damn, I wish I asked them that question before I came over? Put your hands up. Do you ever have that moment? Even I do, by the way. I miss my process. I miss a step. And oh, you have a cousin in real estate and they're charging you nothing. You should have asked you that before I came here, right? So qualifying on the phone before you make the appointment will, number one, differentiate you from the pack because nobody's doing this. And who is in control of a conversation? Which person is in control of a conversation? What's that? Correct. Whoever asks questions is in control. In fact, I think, I hope, I rarely make statements. I never say what is. I want to know what they think is. I don't think that's grammatically correct, but I want to know what they think about it. And I'll say to them right out, like if I'm meeting with, like I'm meeting with somebody who spoke to an agent who they love and they worked with their entire family. The only question I have for them when I get there is, if you love this person and you and they sold all your family's homes and everything like that, why am I here? They sound wonderful. Why am I here? So my question for you is there any area of doubt? Is there any area of concern you have that you wanted to meet with me? Any area of doubt or concern with this other person that I should know about? And if I can't fulfill that doubt, then I'll be honest with you and tell you I can't do that for you either. Like if you want someone who works for free, sorry, I can't do that for you. Right. So it's always about finding the angle. But qualifying in the phone. So the major questions that I ask on the phone is I would literally, number one, say to them, when are you planning on listing your home? Number one, the most important question, right? Please say we're all asking, when do you plan on listing? Right? Because I have people calling me, engineers. Oh, we're listing in 2028, but we wanted to speak to you. You know, engineers are very, God bless them, very anal. They do. I walk into people's houses and I go, hey, what kind of engineer are you? And they're like, how do you know I'm an engineer? I go, look, you've got your tools on a pegboard and they have a pencil outlined around them. By the way, my dad did that when we bored the tool. He put our initials in because he would know that we took it. So he was an engineer by trade. So there you go. So when you need to qualify is when two things happen. One, you've got a ton of leads and there isn't enough time in the day to see everybody. And secondly, just to spend more time generating more leads instead of running out every night, instead of being with your kids and your family, seeing people that will never list. Now, like for me, a lead is only good for 30 days. For you, it might be 6 months, it might be a year. You could have your follow-up time being 3 hours. And I got to tell you guys, familiarity breeds contempt. The more you keep in touch with somebody and you're friendly and you give them advice and information, what are you assuming when you're keeping in touch with them? Correct. It's not true. So what could we do very quickly just to intercept that? What could we do if we're following up with somebody to find out if we're wasting our time? What's that? Right. So after my second call of keeping in touch with them, I'd say to them, what's your first name again? Angina? Alina, I love being in touch with you. Irina, thank you. Okay. It's the accent. I didn't get it. Irina. So we've been in touch a couple times. I love to keep in touch with you, but I need to ask you, if you were to list your home today, would you list it with me? Fantastic. Okay. Are we asking that question? Or are we just keeping in touch with them and hoping that our assumption is true? Right? I did that. I kept in touch with them and said, oh, they love me. Oh, Wayne, how's it going? And I'd get there after being in touch with them for 6 months. I'd actually get into a physical, like a proper listing appointment. They'll say, Wayne, I thank you so much for keeping in touch with me, but I have a cousin who'll do it for free. I've sold all my houses with them. I think to myself, why did you let me keep in touch with you for all that time? You know why? They don't want to be rude. We're Canadians, right? They do, but most of them don't, right? Have you guys not kept in touch with someone forever? And at the very beginning, if you would have asked the question, you would have found out you don't have a chance in hell of getting that listing, right? There's a difference between an objection and a condition. A condition is, I have a cousin in real estate. I've sold 8 homes with them. They're fantastic. I'll never list with anyone ever again. An objection is, I have a cousin in real estate, but I've never worked with them and I don't really like them, right? Understand the difference between a condition and an objection. So we have to simply spend more time qualifying people on the phone. And what I mean by that is to simply ask them, after asking them, when are you planning on moving? When do you need to be there? When do you want to sell? When do you want to list? Oh, there's a difference between me listing your home and starting showings. I can list it now and not show it for 6 months, right? Like people don't understand those difference. We have to explain it to them. When do you want your home to actually have a sign on the lawn ready for showings? Well, we've got to do a ton before that happens. Do you want to stage your home? I recommend it. Yes, we do. Great. You want to be out of your home by when? I asked you if when you're planning on moving, and you said that you bought a home and it's closing in August, right? I think they probably should be getting onto it, right? Correct? Especially now. What's the average days on the market in the GTA now? 40 days? Condos is probably much higher. But overall, what's the average days in the market?
60.
How many? Is it like 40 to 60? Right? Okay. So yeah, I mean, freeholds are quicker. Days on the market is much lower than condos, but just use the average for the GTA and tell them the average time in the market is between 2 and 3 months. So if you sold your home today, which is end of April-ish, May, June, July, you're already into August almost, and your house isn't even on the market. So do you see that your timeline isn't as great as you thought it was, right? These are the kind of conversations we have with people. Also, by doing that over the phone, what are you doing? You're getting clarity for yourself, because that's why qualifying is such a beautiful thing, because it gets two things. It gets clarity for you to know what you're dealing with, and it gives them clarity to know that you're a professional. These are questions that need to be answered, because a lot of times people say to me, oh shit, I never thought of that, right? Ask anytime. Not if I do one thing. When I'm, are you, they say this in your, in, no, in person or on the phone. Nothing counts on the phone. Nothing counts. Did you go and see them? Okay. What's your name? Sant. Okay. Shant, would you say your word is as good as your handshake? Because you just said you'd list with me when you're ready, right? And when will that be? When are you going to list it? 2 months. And why are you going to go with me? I mean, I know why, but why do you know? Why do you want to go with me? Because you already said you'd go with me for sure, right? It's a weak reason. Yeah, but telemarketers call you all the time too. You're not going to list with them. Why would you want it? Why do you want to go with me? Fantastic. Okay. So would you say your word is as good as your handshake? Okay, so put your hand out and shake their hand and say, my word is as good as my handshake too. Thank you very much for your business. Not a guarantee, not a contract, but it's better than what you have, which is nothing, right? I found that to be like I would see somebody and I did my very best, but they said, Wayne, we don't sign anything at the moment. We want to think about it overnight. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll sleep downstairs. And when I wake up, I'll knock on your door with a coffee and a contract. So this is you always try and get the best case scenario consequence of whatever you're doing. You may not end up getting anything, but at least you're doing one or two little things that will make a difference. Are you guys doing that? Say to them, how many times have people said to you, oh, you got my listing for sure? Have they said that? Watch what happens when you say to them, is your word as good as your handshake? They'll go, wow, actually. Oh, so you're just absolutely foolish. You're saying that to everyone. Of course I'll go with you. That's right. They probably have 8 wives too, right? You know what I mean? Like, just kidding, just kidding. So clarity is very, very important. I talk about this all the time. So it's just a matter of shifting the way you think about helping somebody and feeling also that you're too pervasive. If you feel like you're being too offensive, are you guys afraid? Tell me, like, be honest. Little therapy session. Who here feels uncomfortable asking questions that need to be asked? Yeah, Cindy? Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I do too. I don't always wake up and feel like, holy crap, I'm so confident. Sometimes you just don't feel that great feeling and you still have to go through the motions. So it's not easy, but what happens is you get to a point that it's such a part of you that it's easy to ask the right questions at the right time. When I go to someone's house, I have absolute clarity on their motivation, right? And that's what we want. And my benefit is because I live midtown and I work in Thornhill, I always say to people, I stopped going to see people unless they were ready to list it, unless I knew I had a chance by listing their home that night. Otherwise, I wouldn't go see them. If they wanted to list in 6 months, I'd say to them, fantastic. Um, let's get together closer to the time you want to sell. If they say, no, we want to see you now to get the house ready, I'm happy to see them. But I would try and get them to commit to me in a small way, but I wouldn't expect them to sign anything in 6 months' time, right? If they're willing to, that's great. You can slip the conversation in, but it's not necessary. Most of my listings, the longest time I've ever had listed to showing date has been like a couple months, but you could do 6 months.
Jack. No,
You don't want to commit to what, selling or you?
not 7 days.
Yeah, but they don't want to commit to you. There's two, but there's only two things you need answered. Are you going to list? Are you going to list with me? If they're not going to list, don't talk about you. Right. No, it depends on how much time you have in your day. And it depends on if there's a possibility that they will list sooner because they don't understand time frames. You know their situation. Okay.
Stay on the market that they know.
As long as you don't talk about price, it's okay to see people. Just don't talk about price. Well, that's my next step. Nadia, great segue. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we're going to talk about qualifying on the phone a little bit. It's all in that thing. Did you guys look at the forms I sent? Of course you didn't because I said not to. You didn't look at anything yet, right? Good guys. Good, good, good. So this is all before I get there. So in my opinion, um, the only reason why I always did better than most agents is because I had more experience on the listing appointment because I went on more appointments and I went from being grossly terrible to really, really great is because I started asking questions at the right time and I was in control of the situation. I didn't make statements that you don't know if they agree with or not. Don't we do that? They ask us how the market is. You know, again, too, um, I'm Jewish, and my upbringing was I never got a question answered with an answer. Every question was followed with a question. I think it's cultural with everybody. It's not just. I think grandparents are like this. You know, uh, Booby, can I have a drink? Why do you want a drink? Because I'm thirsty. Why are you thirsty? It's like, please, come on, I'm in the desert here. It's like, this is just so I'm used to when someone throws a porcupine on my lap, I throw it back, right? And what ended up happening is there isn't one objection you can't ask me that I can't turn into a close in 2 seconds. It's just natural. Ask me any objection, and I'll show you in 2 seconds that I can turn into a close without actually answering it. Grace.
So wondering how.
We're not appraisers. Yes.
Dialogue.
Yeah.
Appraisal.
Right.
We're able to do so many of them.
So I was able to do so many, Grace, because they were everywhere. Everybody wanted to sell. Everybody needed to sell. They were desperate to sell. 1 in 10 homes were selling. The listing to sold ratio was ridiculous. There were thousands of listings for sale, a lot of power of sales. Like people talk about, I mean, the stock market's in the tank, and there's a crazy guy running the country. Mark my words, in a couple weeks, he's going to come out and say, look how great I did for the stock market. Look what I did. Really, you caused this. Anyhow, so the benefit that I had, Grace, is that I went on lots of appointments, and I was able to figure out how to differentiate between a listing presentation and a pricing presentation. They're two totally different things. Don't we combine them? A listing presentation is a pricing presentation. It's guess what? You know what I say to people? I think you know what your house is worth. And they go, and I go, do you think it's worth 500? They go, no. Do you think it's worth 3 million? They go, no. I go, well, okay, so is it worth 2 million? No. Is it worth 1.5 million? Well, the one down the street sold for 1.550 million, and it was 100 square feet smaller, and it had an addition. And oh, really? You don't know what your house is worth? I'm not coming to appraise your home. I'm coming to get your home sold for the best price. If you see that I can get you for the best price for your home, will you list it with me when we get together? Simple question, right? So what they want to see is, will you price it higher than the other agents, right? So the reason I don't talk about price while I'm doing a listing presentation is because it's just a natural thing that you don't want to upset people, and you want to get their listing, and by overpricing it, you make them happy, but you don't have a listing. Okay. More than a 2-month contract. Other than, what's your name? Warren? Warren, other than the fact you don't want to go more than a 2-month contract, is there any other reason why you wouldn't list your home with me now? Okay, other than that, is there any other reason you wouldn't list your home with me right now? Okay, so if we can overcome that, I can be your agent tonight. Okay, so my standard expiry date on a listing is 4 months or more, because the average time on the market is 2 months, right? You want to give me the opportunity to sell your home for the best price, right? You want to give me an opportunity, correct? Yeah. Okay. If I allow you to cancel your listing at any time by giving me 30 days written notice, would you be okay with that? You forget 2 months, you could list with me and cancel in a week if you wanted. So I'm offering you something even better than what you're asking for, correct? May I work for you? Okay. So I isolated the objection, right? I isolated the objection. I knew I'm not going to tackle any objection unless I know that's the only one. If there's more, I don't care if there's 1 or 50. I want to write them all down and say, okay, if I can overcome these 342 objections, I can work for you, correct? Sure. So you just go through one at a time, right?
We suspend it or we.
I'll terminate it. 30 days written notice, I'll terminate it. Yeah. I've had it on in my career, it's been a handful, but it happens. but they end up not really, sometimes they do end up selling, but it's more of a blessing in disguise though. They're just usually people like that. They're difficult in many, there's not just one red flag, there's a million red flags, right? I probably should have never taken the listing. So do we think of the process as being a two-step process? So I'm kind of doing on an angle. So do you guys know the 4 words to my listing process that is on that sheet that you probably already saw? Do this first, do the second. I can't think, unless it's a relative, unless it's somebody you've bought and sold for a million times, and it's totally assumed that you're the listing agent and you defend them by treating them like a regular client, which is this is the rule, not the exception, not the rule. Most people, when you meet with them, if you tell them the price, oh, there we go. You see that? Good. So if you tell them, maybe the angle of the phone is just wrong. There we go. So if you tell them the price of the property, they don't hear another word you say, right? They don't hear anything. All they're thinking is they've got that little monkey in their head going, oh, the last agent said it's 200,000 more, right? Do you know what buying the listing means? You heard that expression, buying the listing? You just price a house for 300,000 more than it's worth and you're confident as hell. You're just buying the listing, right? You're not physically paying for it, but you're paying it with confidence that it's not real, right? So that's why I want to get a confirmation on the listing before I get the price. Do we think that's possible? Why do we think that's not possible? Why do we think it's necessary to talk about price while being in a listing presentation?
If you can do. Analyze the market and then I can.
Right. So that's very, very true. The price range is very important because you are giving a price. Yeah, it's definitely between 1.5 million and 2 million. You're not listing it now. We don't know what 3 months from now is. That was good.
Stuff time and unrealistic.
So why are we pricing people's homes without getting a confirmation on the listing? We shouldn't. There's so many ways to defer price, right? So go to the sheets. The language is very, very simple. People will say, Wayne, what's my home worth? I say the price of your home is far too important to guess at. In fact, you have 2 important decisions to make. One, which person or firm you'll have represent you to sell your home. And with that person, 2, determine the best price. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So I want you to choose me as the best agent. And you and I together, once we agree to work together, we'll figure out the best price and the best strategy. Does that make sense? Is that difficult? I never have to talk about price now unless I have the listing. And they'll say to me, Wayne, we want to list with you, but you haven't discussed the price yet. And I'll say, great. Other than price, we talked about commission. We talked about everything. Commission should never be less than 5%. I swear to you guys, if you spoke to my broker, and I think Edmund and Howard would probably know this, I never list a property for less than 5%, 4% if it's my own buyer, not in a multiple offer situation, unless it's extenuating circumstances, right? Are we all getting 5%? Probably not. Not today. It's really, really hard. We're just so excited.
So
I don't care. 2 separate processes. They're lucky to work with me when they buy. Are you kidding? I'm negotiating the lowest price for them. No. It's the 2 surgeons for the 2 surgeries for the price of one. No, sorry. Doesn't work like that. Each job is separate, right? They're not paying you to buy. We're not charity cases, right? Don't You're not doing me a favor. I'm offering them protection and knowledge and serve like great experience. And I don't need the sale. Just that alone is worth its weight in gold. I don't, it's my kids will get the money, not me. Like, so, right? So, so let's go to the forms. So the listing process from start to finish. We finally, any questions before I get to these forms? Right, right, right. First of all, I love your tie. That's very cool. Second of all, I don't discuss price at all unless I have the listing. I'll give them a range. Just what I give them a range. If they're not going to list with me, part of what I do is making sure that the strategy and price is as smart as it can be. And I'm happy to give you a range, but if you're not ready to list now and you're not ready to list with me, I haven't won your confidence yet to list with me. So may I ask you a question? If I haven't won your confidence for me to be your agent, why would you want to discuss price with me? If you don't think I'm the best agent around, why would you want to discuss price with me? Does that make sense? Okay, so let's talk more about why I should work for you. And then together we'll pick the best price to ask. Does that make sense? Everything's done verbally. I only do an opinion of value if it's for tax purposes or something. Nothing's on paper. I don't come with like an appraiser CMA with subject property and 8 other properties, and this has ceramic tiles and this has, right? Like everything's done verbally. Okay, so any questions before we go forward? Okay, now getting the lead. Do we all know these 6 questions memorized? Hayden, when are you planning on moving? Oh, really? How long have you lived at this address? Really? How'd you happen to pick this area? Nice. Okay. If you were to move, where do you think you'd move next? Okay. When would that be? Okay. Did it sound scripted? Are we asking these questions? Warren is. Are we asking these questions on every single exchange? It's so easy. But guess what I figured out from him? His motivation, right? Like, how did you happen to pick this area? Oh, I used to live in Brampton and I know the schools are good here. Or the horse? What was that? You're allowed horses on this part of Yonge Street. So we figured. But yeah, I mean, if you're not asking these questions, if you're doing the same things as everybody else and you're saying, do you want to sell your home? You're not differentiating yourself. Like it's so funny. One of my son's friends contacted me and said, I'm doing a Instagram post where I stop people on the street and ask them how they made their money. And his site is called Closing Sales. So I met with him and his friend, and they interviewed me, and it was incredible because I realized that everything that I do is so process oriented just by talking to them and being in a situation where they knew nothing about, they didn't know much about real estate. They just kind of had an idea about sales. But you must have seen those websites where a guy stops someone in a Lamborghini and says, hey, how'd you make your money? What was the most you ever made in a year or in a month or whatever? So it was really, really interesting. So I'm not sure how that related, but I think it somehow did. Um, so memorize these, please. Use them all the time. Never ever say, um, do you want to sell your home? Never, ever, ever, ever. Just use these questions, memorize them, be really, really strong. So one of the things that I said to them, and this is how I wanted to lead to that interview with those guys. One of the things I said, which is very true, is I always wanted to do things that nobody else was willing to do. Right? So you think about what we do every day. What are the kinds of things that nobody else, other agents, 95% of the agents are not willing to do consistently? What is that? Prospecting, right? They'll do social media things, they'll spend money on ads, they'll do all kinds of things that are like the lazy man's way. Everything you see in the internet, all about we can make your real estate life easier, just follow these steps. No, it all ends up being about social media, which is fantastic and it's great. But if you're not speaking to people every day and you're not making 50 contacts every single weekday, I don't know if just being the best social media agent is the way to go. And I think I could be wrong. Most of the times when you have strong social media, you end up being a buyer's agent, not a listing agent. Is that true? You meet lots of buyers and not a lot of listings? What percentage?
Geo farmers.
Right, geo farmers are what I think it should be, and that's already here. This is the way your business should be broken down. 80-20. If 80% of your business isn't from listings, you're not going to have a great life. It's hard to have a good relationship. It's hard to be there for your kids. It's hard to have a normal weekend, right? If you're running with buyers all the time, even on a buyer's agency, which is fantastic, being a listing agent is obviously they used to say list to live, right? But I wanted to be a listing agent just because I'm not arrogant, but I had a huge ego. I needed to see my name on someone's lawn. I needed that. I was so insecure that that's what made me happy. I had to have my name on someone's lawn. So that's why you want your business to be 80% listings and 20%, I'm just writing myself, 20% buyers. Okay. And where do your buyers come from? They should be your clients already. The only buyers I work with are my clients, either that they're referred to me or I sold their home or they're a past client. There's like 1 degree of separation between me and every buyer. I don't meet people on the street and just sell them a home. If someone calls me and said, Wayne, I'm renting, I live in Thornhill, I see your name all the time, I'm willing to work with you exclusively. I just won the lottery. I can buy a house for 6 million. When can you come over? We want to sign a contract with you. I'd be like, well, I'm kind of busy at 7. Of course I would, right? But typically, no, for sure. Okay, so on the phone, the pre-list script. By the way, stop me at any time, okay? So I'm assuming you have a lead, and I'm assuming that the lead is qualified to a degree. If after asking the pre-qualifying questions, so someone just calls you, we want to sell our home, you ask these questions. If after asking the pre-qualifying question to determine that they have now motivation, say just a couple of final questions, I'll bring everything with me tonight that I need to help you make the best decision. But may I ask, this is so powerful. Most agents are afraid to ask this. I have no idea why, but they are. I'll bring everything with me tonight that I need to help you make the best decision. But may I ask, if you're happy with me, the price and commission, may I go to work for you this evening? Who's asking that? Put your hands up. Yes, you are. Go for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So. House. And I was like, here.
Mhm.
to interview agents.
Good.
I said I was going to.
Like she just said, can I have your business? And the person said yes, which is not the rule, it's an exception. But so when I have a conversation with somebody, so who am I looking at that I can use as my um guinea pig? Ken. So I discussed all of your reasons for selling, and I'm quite convinced that I should meet with you. So Ken, may I ask if you're happy with me and happy with commission and everything, may I work for you this evening? Don't be so easy. Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. Interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Wife.
Right. Oh, so Ken, could you do me a favor? Because I want to make sure I have everything I need when I come and see you tonight. Can you ask your wife if she's happy with me and commission and everything we agree? May I work for both of you tonight?
Wait that I think it should.
Oh, okay. Is she involved in the sale? Okay. So when can we can all meet together so we're not repetitive? Okay. So you know your wife pretty well, correct? Would she agree with the statement that if you're happy and she's happy with me and price and everything, that you would allow me to work with you? Okay. So are we asking that question before we go out to see people? Because guess what happens? They say, well, actually, Wayne, we have a relative in real estate, so we can't list with you tonight. Ah, other than the fact that you have a relative in real estate, is there any other reason why you wouldn't list with me? They go, no, that's the only thing. Now I've got a new thing to tackle before I go see them. Right. So Ken, continue. You have a cousin in real estate, correct, Ken?
Sister, both sisters.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, you're okay with mixing business.
It's sold a listing.
You got the listing.
I just think
They're going to want to cancel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing. So this is usually the case in those scenarios. So Ken, it's your brother and sister that are the agents, right? Are you comfortable mixing business with pleasure? Are you concerned at all about that? A little bit? Is it enough not to choose them if you had an alternative?
I would consider
Okay. Also, except for that, which is really important, if the decision was entirely your wife's, would she choose your brother and sister as your agents?
that about.
Okay, that's great. You could just buy them a car, right? But I understand that. That's really sweet and nice. But what's your most valuable asset? Right. And if you were to have, God forbid, your kids needed surgery, would you let them operate on your kid? Okay, so that's when you draw the line for your kind of emotional commitment to them, right? Okay, so your home is your most valuable asset. Are you willing to take a chance with that? Okay, may I work for you? Okay, so it's just a matter of like finding the angle and figure. It's just logical, right? Like what I did was I deferred to the other person. You know what they say to me? No, my wife absolutely hates them. Right? Oh, are you selling it together? Or are you making the decision entirely on your own? No, we're selling it together. Okay, should we be talking about your brother and sister anymore? No, I guess not. Why do people come up with objections that they don't really actually believe?
He said no.
He wants to what?
Sister.
He wants to work with them? So my question would be then, how did I connect with them originally? How did I even connect with them at all? How are they a lead? Why did we connect? If they have a brother and sister and the sign goes on the lawn, I would never get the call, right? So I would take a step back and say, wait, you called me. You called me to tell me you don't want to list with me, and here's why. Doesn't make sense.
Knock the door.
I'd find out at the door. So play with me. We're at the door. Hi, I'm Wayne from Remax. When are you planning on moving? 6 months from now? Really? How long have you lived at this address? Oh, where'd you move from? Newmarket. Okay. If you were to move, where would you move next?
Prefers
King City. Okay. When would that be? When would that be? Okay. Have you chosen a real estate agent yet in the process?
place. I'm thinking
Okay. Got it? Are you committed or obligated to them?
something. So I
Right. Have you worked with them before? Okay. Are you hiring them because of the relationship or because they're the best for the job?
the job, but
Well, hold on, take a step back. You don't know if they're the best for the job?
for my not
Do they specialize in this area? They do specialize in the area. Okay. So my question again is, are you hiring them because they're the very best? If you didn't know them, would you hire them if you didn't know them? May I ask why?
them. I think that's
Correct. You want the best agent. So you're telling me, what's your first name? Arun. So you're telling me, Arun, that you're really hiring them because of the relationship. Okay. Does that concern you? Correct. What if something happens and the relationship gets soiled? What do you do then? Do you want to mix business and pleasure still or no? Well, it's an important question,
if they don't want to accept.
right? But Arun, is it fair to say the fact that you're engaging me with right now, you have some serious concerns about that?
It's on my door.
Correct. But you're debating whether or not it's in your best interest to work with them, right? You're weighing out your options, right? So I'll ask you, I'm happy to see you and sit down and talk about your home, but not if you're committed or obligated already, right? So are you open to the idea of somebody that you believe could possibly get you more money and a quicker sale and more professionally and keeping it totally professional? Are you open to the idea of hiring that person? Right? Worst case scenario is they say, Wayne, I can't cut them out. I'll give them a referral fee. Everybody wins, right? They get me. I give up 25%. They're pissed off, but they're somehow happy. It's rare, but right? You're welcome.
So this first question, what did and this is over that
Great.
the subject of both.
Yeah, I don't have to go on to the next question.
You're being marriage.
Right. So when I do the questions and then they say, we want to meet with you, I'll ask the questions and I'd say to them, before we get together, just a few questions for you. Are you interviewing other real estate agents? So yes, you are. There's two other agents. Are you obligated or committed to either of them? Okay. Where did you get their names from?
Other friends.
Other friends? Okay. Do they specialize in this area?
Don't.
Okay.
They do.
They do or they don't? They do. Have you noticed their name as much or more than mine?
But not.
Okay. Does that concern you at all? Okay. Do you want the best agent or kind of an okay agent?
Especially split up.
Sure.
Like. Excellent.
Yep.
You're all going forward now. Maybe ever.
I'd find an angle. I'd figure out how I can differentiate myself. Yeah, but I'd make it very clear that I want to know what is important to them and how I can use it against them. Not against them, but how I can use it in my best interest. I want to find out there's going to be something that they found these other people that I know just because of my huge ego that they're not as good as me. Because, I mean, that's what I'm there for, right? To be confident and feel proud of my experience. And I work my ass off to be not arrogant, but humbly arrogant. That's the thing. Um, yeah.
It's a very fine line. Challenging.
Asking questions. Nobody ever sounds arrogant asking questions. It's the most humbling, empathetic way you can be. Ask questions. When you start telling people how great you are or how much success you've had, it comes through when you ask questions. People are really smart. They pick up on it. And when you ask questions, you're showing them that you care about them and their situation. That's humility. That's true in life and it's true in business. So asking questions is the key.
So when you see the realistic person,
Well, that's when I get into a listing presentation when I know that, yes, if we agree on price and commission and they're comfortable with me that they'll list with me this evening, then I bring out my listing book and I just go through the basics of Remax and my experience. And I just show them and, then I'll say to them, oh, by the way, did the other agents sell this many homes in Thornhill? So I've got this sheet here that you probably can't see it, but this is from 2000 to 2017, right? I say to them, do you think the other agent you're speaking to, do they sell this many homes, right? And they go, for sure not. I said, well, do you want a surgeon that did 5 surgeries or 500, right? So that's just part of it. That's not being arrogant. That's factual. It's something I'm proud of. And it's just a way of them. And I say to people, guys, there's no picking the best person, right? You could pick what you think is the best person and things don't work out the way you'd hoped, right? Sometimes life has a way of that happening, but at least by picking the best person, you're improving your chances. You're picking the best horse. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Okay, continuing. So just asking that question, guys. If I look forward to meeting you tonight. Everybody's going to be there who's on title. If not, I won't show up. I'll want to know why. But if you're comfortable with me and we agree on price and commission and everything, may I go to work for you this evening? If it's a no, then it's may I ask why? Qualify again and decide how to proceed. You may want to reschedule for another time or cancel altogether. Okay. That's when you find out what the objections are. Why are we going to someone's house and we think, oh, if they like me and trust me and they think I'm the best person and I'm so sweet and kind, they're going to love that so much they're going to want to. No, you'll have a freaking Nazi do surgery on your kid if you think they're the best surgeon, right? You can hate the person. It doesn't matter. If they're the best, they don't have to like and love me. They just have to really feel that I'm potentially their best choice. That's all. I'm not there for a popularity contest. I just want their business, right? You can't befriend somebody and get them to list with you. It doesn't work like that. Yes, you need to build rapport. They have to like you and trust you, right? You ask questions, best way to build rapport. They'll like you and trust you just because you're asking questions and no one else is. And you're not making statements. The only statement I would make is if it's followed with, do you agree, yes or no? Right? And if you don't agree, I want to talk to you about it. Sometimes I will make a statement, but then I'll stop myself and say, hey, wait, do you agree with what I just said or no? And they might say, no, I actually don't agree with that. But if you don't ask, they'll just nod their head like you don't know if it's a yes or no. So listening presentation script. Before presentation, say and ask, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you and discuss your home with you. I have some very important things to show you so that you are able to make a good decision this evening. If you're happy with me, the commission, the asking price, etc., may I go to work for you right away? Why do I ask it again when I'm inside the house? Even though I asked it over the phone and they said yes, why do I ask it again in person? Because it's not enough clarity for me just to know that they just agreed to something on the phone that I come there. I want to let them know that this is real, that I'm here to do business, and I need their verbal commitment before I can go forward. And if they say, well, actually, no, Wayne, I'll go, well, may I ask why? If no, it's stapled. But if no, great, may I ask why? Isolate objections, resolve them, ask for commitment again. After you've discussed their objections, not conditions, you can't really change those. Ken. So the way I always am fortunate to be the last person, and I say to them, Ken, I want you to have a basis of comparison. I truly believe that I do things differently than other agents. And I believe that when you meet with me, my experience will show that. So based on that, when is your last interview? May I meet with you after you've met with the other agents so you have a really good basis of comparison? May I do that? Okay. Will you let anybody coerce you into listing your home before I meet with you? Fantastic. Do you see the benefit of meeting with me and not letting somebody pressure you to sign before we've met? Yes. Would that be a red flag for you if someone tried to pressure you to sign before we meet? It'll make them look bad. Correct. Okay. So I will trust that you're not going to sign anything before we meet. Does that sound fair? Great. I'll see you whenever. If yes, great. Short presentation, price at the end. Then say, now I'm going to show you how I've been successful to get my seller's home sold quickly for the highest possible price. We'll discuss the price at the end. This is at the beginning of the presentation. We'll both agree on a strategic asking price, then I can get started right away. Sound good? Great, thank you. What do I do at that point? They've agreed to list with me. What do I do? I say, thank you very much for your business. I appreciate it. But Wayne, we haven't even discussed the price yet. That's okay. I've got your listing. I don't care. What does a handshake do for most people? It solidifies a verbal contract. In sort of the pragmatic world, it just solidifies that, yes, I'm acknowledging that you've chosen me. I'm your agent. Thank you for your business. Now, do I have his listing? Yes or no? 90%. Yeah, but mostly yes, correct? Am I going to be a better pricing agent or a not better pricing agent now? Better. You've got the listing. Doesn't it make it easier to be more transparent and honest about price if they've already chosen you for the listing? But yeah, but Wayne, that's part of what you do. Why are you talking about the price? Any agent that's been in the market for a month with technology can price your home within 2 or 3%, yes or no. Do sellers know and agree to this? Do you want someone who's been in the business for a month or decades? Successful agent that's been around for a long time. Who do you want? So I'm not here to price your home, am I? I'm here to sell your home. And before I can do that, you have to choose me. And then together, you and I as a team figure out the best strategy. And there's many strategies. Pricing it at market value, waiting for an offer, holding offers, 24 hours irrevocable, what price? How do we compare, etc. Right? Run. Nope. No. I get a handshake that they've agreed to work with me, and I say to them, fantastic. Where is it? Now So now I've shaken their hand. Now I'm going to show you how I've been successful to get my seller's home sold quickly and for the highest possible price. We'll discuss the price at the end. Okay, so now the most important rule always, and I mean always, list first, price second. So once they've agreed to work with me, I say to them, now we're going to select the best price and strategy to work with, correct? And we're going to do that together. Does that make sense? And I shake their hand, thanks for the business. And then it's just a pricing presentation at that point. I bring out my CMA, I show them comparables,
This.
same appointment. Yeah. In fact, when people don't want to list their home with me or don't want to list, it's a 10-minute, 15 minutes at the house. But when they want to list with me and I go through everything, it's amazing. But to the minute, it's exactly 2 hours, almost to the minute. Every single listing appointment is 2 hours because there's a lot. There's a riot act. There's getting them to stage the home, getting them to like just everything, right? Just the whole process. It's usually about 2 hours, right? So think about this before you engage with anybody you are hoping to list. But how do I not discuss the price with them if they ask me, what's my home worth? Don't engage, defer. Just respond with the price of your home is far too important to guess at. In fact, you have two important decisions to make. One, which person or firm you'll select in the sale of your home. And with that person, determine the best price to ask. Does that make sense? That difficult? Will that defer the pricing presentation? Absolutely. Guys, we're not appraisers. Everybody knows what their house is worth. What they want to hear from you is they want to hear you say with absolute empty confidence that you're going to get the more than it's worth because everybody wants a pipe dream. If you're so confident, even though it's BS, they might just go with you because your price is too high. But then you're just fighting with them to lower the price, and eventually they're, the excitement and everything about you that they loved on the day, every day that goes by, it kind of withers a little bit. Now, can I show you why I don't believe anybody will work harder, more professionally to get you the best possible price in the least amount of time? Great, let's go. Start the listing presentation now. After your short but precise listing presentation, and that's, the basic stuff, talk about Remax. If you don't have a lot of sales, just focus heavily on Remax. What's that? Oh, yeah. So this is like, I leave this with them. It's my business card. But typically if I get the listing, I will leave it with them. But sometimes they say, we don't need it, But that's sometimes I would do if it was like a listing appointment, I would drop it off before the appointment kind of thing. So.
Is it okay to read the e-books?
No. God, no. Hell no. No. That's another way of buying the listing. Yeah, no, don't do that. Thank you for the opportunity is humble enough. You don't have to say, I really thank you for the opportunity. It's like, oh, really? Only 6 chocolates? The other agent brought me 12. Run. Say it again. I don't like doing that. Is it okay to take somebody else with you, like a partner? Well, if you're very good at working together and they're your partner and you're kind of in this like that, I'm kind of a, born alone, die alone person. I don't like to weigh on anybody. I would like to screw up and take full responsibility or do well and have full, enjoyment of it. But so I'm not a fan of going with somebody personally. 2-for-1 agents. So each one works half as right. So I have that a lot. People say to me, oh, these agents, there's 2 of them. There's only one of you, right? I said, well, each one will work half as hard. You're better off with one person who's focused, who'll work just as hard or harder. So after a short presentation, you ask, do you have any questions? Must have been the chili I had earlier. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions or concerns? They might say, what about the price? You say, great. Do you have any other questions or concerns other than price? Now, isolate the objections, overcome each one at a time, get a handshake commitment for the listing. Now you're ready to discuss the price. Now that you know they are listing their home with you, I'm sure you will be much sharper on pricing it to sell, not sit. Correct? Next step. Now, all we have to do is decide on what price to ask. That's after you've shaken their hand and you got the listing. I'll show you the comparative market analysis for your area, looking at every recent sold home in your area. You will select a price and I can get started right away. Does that sound good? Great. Pricing presentation, agree on price, sign listing. I bring out the listing. I don't do anything. I just show them that I have the listing there ready to go. I don't fill in anything. Now we talk about price. Okay. If they are absolutely not ready right now or have not agreed to work with you, do not do a pricing presentation. Give a very wide range for the value. If they're not happy with a wide range, again, say, as I mentioned before, you have two important decisions to make. One, which person or firm you'll hire to represent you to sell your home. And two, what price to ask. Never hire somebody based on price. In fact, people hire me because I can ask a great price and still get their home sold. Therefore, once you have selected me as your agent, I will work with you to determine the best price to ask. Sounds fair? So now you have done a very short presentation. They're still not ready to list now. Say, are you happy with what I've shown you so far? Do you have any concerns or questions about what I've shown you so far? Always getting clarity. No concerns. We're just not ready to list it now. May I ask, are you not ready to list it now or just not ready to show it now? You know, most people think if they list it now, they have to put the sign on tomorrow, right? And somehow we don't realize that that's what they're thinking. So guys, ask, are you not ready to list it now or you're not ready to show it now? Oh, I'm not ready for showings. Oh, but you are ready to list it. Oh, absolutely. But I don't want showings for 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Clarity. Can do a post-dated listing, sign now with showings whenever. No, just not ready to sign now. Great. May I ask why? Overcome objection or accept the condition. I probably wouldn't be there if there was a condition. I would have found out beforehand. Great. Therefore, if you were to list your home this evening, for whatever reason, they've got a really good reason for not listing tonight. Oh, there's not many with me. If you want to sleep on it overnight, I've literally said to them, well, that's okay. I can sleep over and I'll see you in the morning. I've literally had them sign a listing and say, to give you something specific to think about, let's sign the listing. I'll take it with me. If you don't want to list it with me or you want to change the price, we can discuss it over the phone. If you absolutely change your mind about working with me, I'll drop the listing off at your house. Right? Aran?
Do you take
So I do just the listing form. That's all I take. Everything else is done by email. I DocuSign the entire, yeah. All the other, all the FinTrack, all that other stuff, I do it by email. Just the listing form. 3 pages, listing agreement. Condo or house or, yeah. Lease form. I'm not sure what a lease is, but a lease form. Yeah. So therefore, whether you list your home in a day or a month or a year, will I be your agent? Correct? Nodding head as you say it. Another thing that I do all the time is, I don't know if you see me do this, it's so powerful. If you ask somebody a question that should always be answered with yes, say to them, say yes. Hayden, if you feel I'm the best agent for the job, will you list with me? Say yes. Great. Thank you. By the way, would you say your word is as good as your handshake? Yes, mine is too. Extend hand and say, thanks for your business. Let's make sure to keep in touch. It's not a contract. It's not written in stone, but I can be damn sure it's more than you're getting right now. Unless you're doing it, then, good for you. God bless. Before you leave, by the way, who do you know right now who is thinking about buying or selling? Stop talking. Let them sell first. Great. Thanks. You see how I said, who do you know? Right? That is an open-ended question. Don't ask questions that could be answered with yes or no. Try and ask open-ended questions. Let's speak soon. Have a great day. Off you go with a listing or a commitment. Okay. So, I mean, this is really, really, this is like 36 years of experience in 3 bloody pages. It's amazing how our lives can be condensed to 3 pages. This is it. Like, honestly, everything that I do and know and have done. I mean, there's lots of other, oh, we're doing great. There's lots of other processes that the people get listings, but I don't believe um, qualifying well, having clarity on their motivation, and agreeing to continue with them unless their motivation is at least an 8 out of 10. Why are we going to see people that don't want to sell or don't want to sell for 6 months? Why are we going to see them? Right? It just makes no sense.
So I had a couple of those. Pre-fall phase, so how would you?
You can blame it on price, right? There's not too much we can speak about right now that's that relevant, because in 6 months' time, would you agree? What's your first name? Alex? Alex, would you agree that the price could be very, very different in 6 months' time? Okay. So if we met now, all we'd really be discussing is our relationship, correct? So if we meet today or tonight, whatever, and you agree to work with me, would you give me your commitment on the listing for 6 months down the road? Maybe. So you'll decide if you want to go see them. If you're not that busy, yeah, go see them, but just don't talk about price in any real concrete way. But it's okay to meet them and build rapport. And I mean, what were maybe you were going to go to Dollarama instead. So this is better. Pretty soon it's going to be called $10 because everything's from China.
Want to say big thank you. I see many coaches.
Getting red.
They speak on the
Thank you. I appreciate it.
it's the income. We can feel that. It's the citizens, it's not.
I thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I want to tell you is that I've been doing this since before the internet, right? I used to drive my horse to the listing appointment. Not, I'm not that old, but but the things that are very, very true. One, to do business, will the actual interaction change that much? Right? AI, all this stuff, that's all about lead generation. At one point or another, you're going to have to meet with somebody, right? So everything that I'm doing is not about lead generation. How you generate leads is completely up to you. But I think that the interaction will never change. And secondly, I don't know if this is the right wording. Meaning that there's no way, unless they're in China and everything has to be done by Zoom or whatever, at some point, there has to be an arm's length relationship. You have to be face to face with people at some point, right? So I think the way the world is going now, it's like it doesn't matter if you can't talk to people and you don't know what to say. As long as you have AI and you have social media, everything will work out for itself. But they don't tell you that you have to step up and be a human being at some point. So this is about how to work a lead really, really well. How you get it is totally up to you. And there's millions of ways to get a lead. Personally, I still believe that farming is the best way to keep yourself relevant and have an actual Like when you wake up in the morning, you have a job to do. It's not random, it's very specific. A geographic farm, in my opinion, is the only way to go in real estate. Right.
Mine's just giving it ideas.
On a daily basis. Oh, you don't want to know. So, yeah. So, my ever since before COVID. So, to do well in real estate, you have to be you have to be either inspired or desperate, right? So you reach a certain point after 30 odd years where you kind of deal with whatever comes to you. You do the basic stuff to generate leads, but you're not proactive. So now I'm in a band. I play tennis all the time. I work out all the time. So I got separated 3.5 years ago. So my life is entirely different. It's amazing. Like it's so great. Sorry to say, it's really amazing. I'm doing all the things that I didn't do 3.5 years ago because my focus was different. So it depends on what your balance is for you, right? Um, I never like I said to these guys yesterday, they're interviewing me. I never wanted to be the richest guy in the room. I just always wanted to have the best life, that I had balance and I didn't feel pressure and I was financially independent, right? I didn't need to have the biggest house, or I didn't need to be worth 100 million to feel worthy, right? So this is all about what your goals are, and your goals changes as your life changes. um well, so I mean, are you going to go see them or not see them? Are you going to go meet with them? Like I said, depends on how much time you have in your day. You can go meet with them just to build rapport, but you don't talk price. You can qualify when you meet with them if they have other agents that they're talking to, and figure out why 6 months is significant. And maybe if 6 months isn't significant because they think the market's going to get better, if they're buying and selling in the same market, does it matter? I want to sell for 8 million and buy for 500,000, right? If you buy and sell in the same market, isn't it true that the difference will almost always be exactly the same?
Sell the house.
When's it closing?
Already.
How much time do they have to give you notice to extend it? 60 days, correct? Well, I know. It's 60 days. It's a rule. Well, just call them, I guess. Keep in touch. But hold on one second. How do they have a guaranteed closing in January or no? Is there such a thing as guaranteed? I mean, is there a guaranteed closing? You do, yeah, you do pre-construction. They bought a new home closing in January. How often, what percentage does it get extended the first closing date? Always. It's not even a percentage. So is this the first closing date they received when they purchased was January? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Is it possible it's going to be extended? Yes. Okay. So you should go and see them just to build rapport, but not talk anything really serious, because what if they sell in September and then they get a letter in October that it's not till April? What are they going to do then? They want to know for sure when what their closing date is, right? This is part of clarity.
Wait, always.
Never. Oh, I want to say something else and interrupt. Sorry. Never, ever, ever go into anybody's home while you're door knocking. Can you just come and see my home? I'd love to, but right now I have to find buyers for my listings, and I'm happy to make an appointment with you. When would that work for you? Never, ever, even if someone says, just come and have a look, don't ever, ever do that. Sorry,
This is
it's not professional.
regarding her question, how she.
They're going to be very happy with you doing that as long as they assumed you were going to be their agent. If there's other reasons why they would not choose you, keeping in touch with them doesn't improve that situation.
But they contacted her.
They contacted you because from your farming, that's fine, but that's okay. They might have other people that they're considering too. We want to figure that out.
They
Right. But by holding their hand doesn't solidify your relationship. Yeah.
it's still, it's good to.
Absolutely. That a phone call is not a big deal. But at some point, guys, after your second call of follow up, your third call, you want to say to them, I'm so happy to keep in touch with you. But I need to know if you were to list your home today and I came over today and you're ready to sign the papers, would you list your home with me today? Yes, you should do that.
You know what?
Is it, hold on, what's wrong with doing that?
Too far big area.
No, what's wrong? Tell me what's wrong with doing that.
Because people they cannot run and
People know what they want to do. They'll tell you if you ask them.
if they don't know you, you have to know you. No,
People feel like they know me because I'm farming. They already feel like they know me because I'm a farmer. If you're, what's that?
phone 2 times you talk to.
Have you met with them yet? Yes or no? Have you met with them at this point? At the door. Okay,
Because
no, don't keep in touch with anybody unless you've met with them and have an appointment. You have to meet with them at some point. Try and meet with them right away and figure out if you want to continue with them. Go to the house. Yeah. But you could clarify that when, because if they're moving out in January, it could be May, it could be June, it could be July, right? You're not going to engage with them that much. Follow up could be 3 hours, guys, right? Just with all the leads you have from people 6 months ago. That's why with me, I say to the people, I love to work with you. You're not thinking about listing for 6 months and your reasons are real and they make sense to me. I don't want to bother you and call you every week, but I want you to call me anytime you have a question. I'll give you a call in about 3 months' time just to follow up, but I don't want to bug you. I respect your time. Is it okay if I keep in touch with you every now and then, but promise not to bother you unnecessarily? Does that sound fair? Good.
I don't know if it's gonna have
Oh, yes, it has.
experience. After
Yeah.
or you wait for them.
I have to know more information. It's not, you haven't given me enough information. How did I?
You
When do they want to list? When are they going to list their home? How long are they going to wait? What's their motivation for moving? You can't or you don't know it. You can't reveal their motivation or you don't know their motivation,
first agent they
right?
interview another couple
Did you know this ahead of time or you found out at the appointment?
that way.
Mistake. Yeah.
We just
No, this is about getting better.
excuses.
Yeah.
Basically, we interview another agent.
I would follow up. Well, I want to be the last person in, number one. If for whatever reason I didn't ask the question and I find out at the appointment an objection that I didn't know about, then I'll say to them, um, after you've met with everybody, what's your first name? Hussein. After you've met with everybody and you have a real understanding of what everybody does, is it possible to meet with you just one more time for 15 minutes after you've met with everybody? Is that okay?
Just talking.
Be the seller. Be the seller. Hussein, is it okay if I meet with you one more time for 15 minutes after you've interviewed everybody? Would that be okay? Are you going to let anybody pressure you into making a bad decision before we meet? Okay. So you try and do anything to see them at the end once they've seen everybody. It's important because I want to go over everything they discuss with you because something they might offer you that you think is like finding gold in the streets and really it's just a pipe dream. So is it okay if we meet again?
You know,
Well, may I ask why not? You just said we could meet for 15 minutes after you met with everybody. So that's okay. We can do that. And you're not going to let anyone force you to sign anything you're not comfortable with. Okay.
this conversation.
Well, I'm going to find out when their last appointment is. And I'm going to say to them, is it okay? You're meeting at Friday at 4 p.m. Is it okay if I call you Friday night just to follow up? And then at that point, we can figure out a time to meet, maybe on the weekend for 15 minutes just to go over everything. Does that sound fair? Great. It's just about just doing the best you can with what you've got to work with. It's kind of like, poker. You're not bluffing, but you want to you're giving yourself as good a strategy with the hand you're given. Grace.
Can you share some advice?
Yes.
Been
Go to bed early. Sorry. I should follow that. What?
beyond the business and you're getting fibers.
Buying the listing. Yeah.
Nice job for
Are you volunteering? Are you volunteering the services or are they asking for them? Well, if you volunteered it, I'd probably say, sure. I'm going to pay for staging. I'm going to do this, right? So I don't do that. I give a free staging consultation. They work out a price with the stager of staging, whatever they want to do. I give them $1,000 off the commission towards staging, but it comes off the commission. It's not upfront. And if they say, yeah, but they're going to do this, they're going to do staging, they're going to pay for pot lights, they're going to pay for the lawyer, they're going to do everything. I say to them, at the end of the day, right? If you netted 50,000 more with somebody else, would that cover all of these free services? Yes or no? Okay, so my question to you is, Grace, why don't you hire the person you think could get you 50,000 more and not need to ask them to buy your business? Does that make sense? Do you feel like I'm that person? Okay. So let's do this. Let's list your home at 5%. You're in charge of whatever you accept, right? If you take your calculator out when the offer comes and it's just not enough, obviously we'll try and get you more so that your net is as great as it should be or could be. And I will help you understand what you need to do with your home for free. That's on me. And if you want to use them for staging, which I recommend, I'll take $1,000 off of the staging. It could be $1,000 staging, doesn't matter. It could be 4,000, whatever you pay. How does that sound? So don't volunteer stuff because you think people need that. It all comes down to dollars and cents, right? And I don't know, like there are agents that do all kinds of stuff like that, but I believe at the very, very beginning, if they didn't do that and they just focused on how great they are and how they can net them more money, they wouldn't have to pay for all this stuff. They could line them up with all the people to do the work to get the house ready. But I think their business would be a lot more profitable. Like there's agents that charge 1% and they advertise it in Thornhill. There's an agent that does that. In my opinion, I think they're a great agent. I think if they ask for 5%, they probably get 50% fewer listings, but they'd make 100 to 200% more in their pocket at the end of the day. I'm happy not to have to sell 250 homes. I mean, think about it. I sell 50 homes and I could do diamond. They have to sell 150 homes to 200 homes and they're working 24. Their whole life is about real estate. Me? I mean, thank God I'm doing most of my deals in my pajamas. I'm watching the game. I'm calling the agent in between periods. It's like, how great is that? Like, we're in the best freaking business in the world. Like, yes, it's a 90-10 rule that 90% of the income's earned by 10% of the people, but just kind of figuring this shit out will put you in the 10%, Ken.
If the client, they really like. On the West, would you just, thank you.
Oh, no. Ken, you know me better than that. Would I just drop them? So the question I have for you is 0.5%. So your house is, we said, what's that?
Stating included.
Right. So Ken, if we're both willing to work for free, who would you choose? May I ask why?
Because you're.
What's that worth to you? It's worth 2%, not 2.5%. They're going to work for free. They're going to charge you 0 and do all these. They're going to work. They're going to 0.5%. So they're going to charge you a total commission of 3% because 2.5 goes to the cooperating agent. Okay, so they're going to charge you 0.5%, right? Are they are they a charity? Are they in the business to profit or? They show they're diamond agents. Okay. Sorry. How do you, so what we tend to do as agents is we focus on the exception, not the rule. That doesn't happen all the time. It happens very rarely. It's hard to compete with someone who shows that they're making over $1 million a year and they're working for 0.5%, right? If they're great big agents and they make 0.5%, right? It's kind of hard to compete with that. The only way you can compete with that is say, well, okay, so what's 2% in the sale of your home? What does it come down to?
50K.
$50,000, right? They're more or less. Okay. Do you think it's hard to negotiate 50,000 in a sale? Your house is worth between 1.5 million and 2 million. Do you think negotiating 50,000 is a big deal? Yes or no? You think it's a big deal? Okay. Try whatever you think might work. But when it comes to kind of figuring out the best things, the best approaches, I tend to focus on the rule, not the exception. Yes, you're going to be in situations where you go, I got nothing. Like you'll say, you can come down to, how's their eyesight? You think their eyesight's any good? Yeah, like you find any angle, like, yeah.
After studying.
Very good question. Stop talking about money. Stop talking about money and focus on why they're doing it. So be the seller. So you saw all of the sales in your neighborhood, right? And you agree that if you were to purchase your home now, if you're not the seller, and you were to purchase a home now, based on what I showed you, would you pay this much for your home? Yes or no? You want to buy the home for the best possible price you can, or the lowest possible price, right? How would you justify in your mind paying 200,000 more for your house? How would you rationalize that as a buyer? You can't? Why would a buyer do that with you? You're a nice guy, clearly, but would someone overpay if they didn't feel your house is worth it? Yes or no? Okay. You talked about that you didn't just want you don't want to sell your home, but you really need to sell your home, correct? So my question to you is if you do ask a price that's too high and then you have to keep reducing, do you think that's in your best interest?
No,
Okay. Do you think you'll get the highest price if you price it right the first time? Yes or no?
yes, but we
What if you don't get it?
would take something like.
So you don't need to sell. You want to sell. Because I work with people who need to sell, not people who just are casual about it, right? Like if I'm the pilot in a plane and you want to jump out without a parachute, I won't let you. Fair? So do you want to sell or do you need to sell?
It's a,
You just want to, but if you don't get your price, you're just going to sit. Okay. You can't make someone motivated. So what I would say to them, one second, Elaine, one second, I would say to them, so this is very important language I want you guys to memorize. If you don't want to sell, I can't help you. Right? If you want to sell, I've got all the tools, knowledge, and experience to make that happen. But if you sabotage the sale, correct? That's not going to make my job easier. If you picked me to do well in a marathon and you betted on me doing well, would you put a 50-pound weight on my back at the starting gate? Yes or no? Would you do that? No. So why would you ask me to work my butt off and do everything I do that's successful to get your home sold if you really don't have intention of getting your home sold for the best possible price today? Does that seem reasonable? Okay. So all I can ask you is how do I motivate you? What's your cost of waiting? What happens if you don't sell your home? Are you going to be okay? So why are you doing it now? It's not the best market. Why are you doing this now? Why are you thinking about doing this now? What's important about now?
uh,
Okay. Are you going to rent it out again if you don't get it sold? Why are you keeping it vacant then? What's that? No mortgage? Okay. That's reasonable. So they're just going to wait for the market to go up. And hey, I don't disagree with you. I think a better market will come eventually, right? But if you're going to sell it now, we kind of have to deal with today's prices, right? So if you were to list it today, would you list it with me?
yes,
Okay. Do you feel it's in your best interest to wait and watch the market and see what happens? In 2 months, in 6 months' time, or wherever it is, may I work with you? Great. Thanks for your business. No guarantee, but I'll take what I can get. 3 o'clock.
so let's say, there were two other agents before.
Yeah.
These two other agents. You know, to offer.
Oh, all right.
That's
So hold on. So what's your first name? William? Sorry. So they told you based on recent sales, that your house is worth 2.2. So you're only going to go with the agent that will lie to you. Is that what you're saying? Do you want me to lie to you so I can get your business? Correct. Well, I want to be 6'4". Well, because I'm telling you what's going on right now. What do you want me to, William, what do you want me to tell you? Do you know how people purchase things?
Yes.
They purchase it based on other people's purchases, correct? So if the market value for your home based on recent sales in your area and they're comparable is 2.2, Why is your home worth 300,000 more? So based on what I showed you, is your home comparable to these homes or it's very different?
It's different. Well,
Okay,
those on the surface,
right. Would you say you're a smart buyer as a consumer? You're a smart guy? Yes or no? Okay, so when you're out there looking for anything, do you want to pay a fair price or you're happy to pay a high price? Okay, so if you were buying your home and you weren't attached whatsoever and you were just some guy on the street, would you pay 2.5 for this home?
I mean,
No, it's the only point. Yeah.
it's a gold as agent. No.
I'm not saying, in fact, William, what I feel your house is worth has no merit whatsoever. My opinion is worthless. It's only worth what people are willing to pay. Does that make sense? So one sec, William, we're having a problem here. You know what the problem is? Your motivation to sell right now is based on only money, not life. We don't just move because of money. We move because of life. Does that make sense? So my question to you is, what's happening in your life right now that now is the right time for you to sell? Forget about the money. Why is now the right time for you to sell? Basically, may I ask why? Okay. Okay, so how long are you willing to wait until the market meets your demands for you to stay where you are? How long are you willing to wait? I bet you've been talking about this for at least 2 to 5 years, correct? And you never went forward. Sorry? You never take action. Is it, but maybe you have some, maybe you're kind of a little bit scared about doing this, all of this, right? Is there something that you're concerned about or a little bit nervous about doing this? Are you afraid if I list your home, I might get it sold? You're happy with that? As long as you get 300. So wait, William, does it make sense to say that if I said your house was worth 2.5, you'd want 2.8? Yes or no? No, but when it's actually worth 2.5, I believe you'll want 2.8. Because 3 years ago, when your house, 5 years ago, when your house was worth 1.7, you didn't sell and you waited till now and you made almost $1 million because you waited. Yeah, but right. Somebody at the door? How qualified is that? Okay, well, I have real information in front of me, right? I'm not talking unicorns here. I'm talking about actual sales in your neighborhood of comparable properties. I don't believe you would pay 2.5 for your home if you were a buyer. There's nothing that leads me to believe that anybody would pay that much for your home.
I got the CMA from the second page.
My CMA is the same.
That's just 2.2. So
Because they said 2.2. Okay. Do you believe that they'll do a better job than me? Or you just somehow, do you have an obligation or commitment to the second agent? No. So if I say your house is worth in the same range, and I commend them for being honest, because they're absolutely right. But it's not just about getting the price, it's selecting the best agent that can actually pull it off or potentially do better because of strategy. Does that make sense? So, William, to be honest with you, we would never be talking about this unless you already chose me to be your agent. We would never go this far. I would never discuss your price until I had your commitment to work with you. It's not professional. So, William, this would never happen. I would never get this far with you because I didn't list your home yet. I wouldn't get into a pricing. I would assume if you said this, you already agreed to list your home with me. So what I should have said at the beginning is, William, if you and I agree on price, is there any reason why you wouldn't list your home with me this evening? If you and I agree on price, is there any other reason why you would not list your home with me tonight? Other than price,
no.
you'd list it with me. So if we can agree on price, we're going to sign the listing tonight, correct? Okay. That's a very different conversation. I should have said that at the beginning. See, we're not perfect.
Yep.
That's okay. That's okay. So here's the thing, guys. If somebody is completely ass backward about price and it's completely irrational, stop talking about money and go back and talk about their motivation. If you find that there's no motivation, the best way to sabotage a sale is by overpricing it. Oh, we tried. No, you tried at 2.5. That's not trying. Price it at 2.2 and get it sold. That's trying. You're not really trying. You're just trying to sabotage the sale because you don't really want to. Part of you says, if I get 300,000 more than it's worth, sure, I'll agree. You don't work with people that there's a 10% chance they're going to sell their home.
We can guarantee money.
They can't.
Please,
That's why when agents say, I can get you this much for your home, only if they buy it can they get that much for them. Ridiculous. Well, easy now. Yeah.
said every time.
I've been through tons of different markets. Yeah. I just play more tennis. Sorry, how do I what, adjust?
When we started with
Right. Right.
actually
Well, my goal was always to carry 10 listings at any given time. And don't forget, it's not carrying 50 okay listings, it's carrying 10 saleable listings at any given time. That was always my goal. And that always made sure I was in the top 5, top 10 in my office. That was before COVID when I was more inspired. So if you're carrying 10 listings at any given time, lead generation will allow you to do that. You sell one, you've got another one coming, like you've got something to replace it. So as long as you carry 10 listings at any given time, 10 saleable listings, you're always going to do really well. That should be your goal. So my goal was always to maintain a high bar all the time. And once you maintain that high bar consistently, you don't like sell 4 homes in a month and think, oh, that's great. The average sale was 1.8 million and I made $160,000. Your mentality is, oh shit, I only have 6 listings now. That's what you should be thinking. If you have saleable listings, the money takes care of itself. But your goal should be not based on money. It should be based on like your goals. Did you guys get my forms for setting your goal? How many listing appointments you need to go on? No, you didn't get it? Email me, Wayne Kahn Remax at Rogers. You'll find me. And I'll email you. I've